Okay, so first of all, I have to apologize that I'm sitting. Usually I would be dancing in front of the screen, but I had a surgery and the next one is just knocking at the door. So standing up is not such a good idea. So bear with me, please. I think tone is okay. Ja, ja, gut, super. Ist auch schon an. Okay, okay. So for questions, you can have the mic later on, but you can also always interrupt me and ask questions. Tanya, Daria, if we do too long, sorry, because there are my two colleagues who have the next presentation here in the room. So, welcome to the session, how you can contribute to high quality enterprise documentation. My name is Maike Schabowski, and I'm the documentation strategist at the SUSE Doc team. We actually, we wanted to give this presentation today as a couple. Frank, our documentation director, who you see here in the picture, had to step in for another colleague who unfortunately cannot join us today. Be it as it may, I'm definitely looking forward to kicking off this conference here with this talk. It's a pleasure and an honor. So, before we dive into the session, let me start with a question first. What is your estimate? What do you think? How many pages of documentation does the team provide and maintain for the most current version of Linux and Edge documentation alone? Just the most current version. Think a bit about it. Is it 5,000, 8,000 pages, more? What do you think? Nobody dares? Wow, folks. 50,000. Try. Wow, you really think that we can do 50,000? Quite good. Anything else? Proposal? Hallelujah. Oh, sorry. you see, throwing is not my best. Yeah, okay. Vintage, by the way. So yeah, 15,000, and this is really only the Linux and Edge current versions, only without translation. We also provide translations for many of the guides and manuals and documents, not for all. Any estimate how many pages of translation? It's less, it's a bit less. A bit less? Sorry. Nearly, yeah. So roughly 12,000, and we didn't count Rancher and New Vector because it's a bit harder to count web pages. So it is quite a number, I would say. And during the next few minutes, you will hear about who is at your service here and what kind of documentation we provide. Then you will get an intro to our new modular and adaptable documentation, codenamed SmartDocs. So sometimes I might say SmartDocs. It's topic-based modular articles. Going forward, you hopefully get an idea of how SUSE documentation is created. But most importantly, you will see how you can contribute and get involved in the creation of different kinds of the docs, because we rely on your help. First, please meet the doc team. Do you recognize anybody? Ah? Me? No? Yes, right, the crazy one in the front, in the first line. Yeah, we have a very diverse team spread over Australia, India, Czech Republic, Germany, Switzerland, England. Yeah, and the team consists of many smart people, journalists, humanists, chemists, physicists, biologists, linguists, and the one or other technical writer also. So what is our mission? What do we want to achieve? So we understand that documentation is an essential part of a product. Above all, when it comes to software solutions. Unfortunately, this opinion is not necessarily widespread. You might have heard it. So to the contrary, I recently heard people discussing about documentation as being just a cost factor that could be outsourced, not delivering any return of investment. And not long ago, I had a conversation with a consultant who said every software product should be so easy, so intuitively to understand that no documentation is needed. Of course, yes, that would be perfect, but we are not living in a perfect world. That's a fact. Especially when it comes to software products or solutions are very complex, and such solutions would really suffer from missing or from poor documentation. So when you work in an IT department and you are responsible for functioning environment and smooth processes, this really impacts your daily work and could also eventually impact the success of your business. The one or other might have experienced something similar. So our high-flying wishes are really to the entire open source world, document all the things. We try to contribute our part, and our high demands to ourselves are to produce and deliver high-quality documentation and localization services. And this is really to provide an added value for customers and partners, and to help make you be satisfied more. This is really what we want to achieve. Well, there's a broad variety of tasks that we cover in the documentation team. Here's a quick overview of our key responsibilities. You will hear more about the pure documentation categories, like the classic style product documentation, the release notes, the SUSE best practices, and so on. But first, let's have a look at the bottom here. We maintain our own tool chain. We are not only writing, but also publishing our documentation by ourselves with tools we wrote and we might maintain ourselves. And this might become important for you if you really want to contribute to documentation. If you decide to help us with whatever task, we will come to that also later on. I will explain it a bit more in detail so that you understand where you can contribute and how you can contribute. Down in the middle, you see something that is called topic-based articles. I already mentioned it in the agenda slide. These are our next generation topic-based and modular technical articles. Also here I will share a bit more. And finally, we are also responsible for the translation of the content, the localization. Our colleagues care for a centralized and organized and managed localization process, and they also help sometimes our marketing guys. Okay, so first, the types of documentation. We have the release notes. I think you all know what release notes are. They are written to inform mainly about new features, functions, changes in the products. Usually for new products or for updates. They briefly explain new features and they explain what has been added, issues resolved, or even features that have been removed, and improvements, of course. They are not a replacement for a detailed guide, but they are quite often a first go-to source for all the technical information. Of course, we provide the classic style product documentation that you all know. This usually means product guides and manuals, such as our quick starts, the admin guides, the deployment guides, and so on and so forth, you name it. This is still a very big part, probably still the biggest, Tanja, of our work, right? Yeah. Then we have the SUSE best practices. This is a series we have introduced in 2016, if I don't lie at you. no, 2016. So it's not new anymore. It's an established series. The best practices consolidate all those scattered pieces of information like tech notes and tribal knowledge that contribute to a successful implementation, especially if you talk about solutions here. They are usually based on real-world solutions or implementations on-site at the customers or partner implementations they did for us and with us. They provide reliable technical information as they are really coming from real experience. They are not covered, such experiences are not necessarily covered by the SUSE product documentation. They serve as an addition to the usual reference guides and manuals. The best practices may cross product boundaries, and they may also incorporate information to non-SUSE products, third parties. They talk about integration stuff and so on and so forth. They can include but are not limited to a special but repeatable setup, the installation of third-party products on top of SUSE, the implementation of several SUSE products together as a stack, a step-by-step or a new procedure, proven process or methodology you already have implemented and think might be useful also for other customers. I think I mentioned the SBPs, the SUSE best practices, are not written by the documentation team. The point is really we can quite often not replicate the scenarios that are on site, that you have in production, that you are working with. So we really rely on help from our consultants, from our customers, from our partners, to provide content, to share topics that are from interest for a broader audience. Yeah, and topic proposals are more than welcome. Yeah, I already mentioned it now, and I think I will mention it 10,000 more times. Yeah, so the best practices should be replicable and adaptable. They really aim to save time. The doc team edits, helps with wording, publishes the documents, and we also use our promotional machinery to spread the word. So if you want to become famous as an author, let me know. Best practices are also my baby. The next thing are SUSE technical reference documentation. This is an open collection of really high quality solutions that address also real world use cases, but with featured SUSE partners and community components also. The documents are highly modular. The source files for documentation are freely available, and they are all open source licensed. We have them in GitHub repositories. TRDs, the technical reference documentation, can be divided in 4 different types of documentation. We have getting started guides that are a solution introduction with a step-by-step guidance for implementation, installation, configuration. Then we have reference implementations. It's an introductory architectural approach, really mostly for SUSE products. Then there are reference configuration guides where we give an example of configurations with partner solutions, hardware, software, whatever, and architectural enterprise architecture documents that are more design, architectural designs. The TRDs are owned by a group of colleagues from SUSE that are working with the global alliances with our valued partners from SAP, Dell, Fujitsu, IBM, and all the other great partners. So these are really very knowledgeable people working with partners mainly. But if you want to contribute here, you are also free to do so, or not only free, but welcome to do so. The mic is a bit difficult. Okay, so now I would like to introduce you to our newer approach of documentation. Looking back in history, who remembers good old times? We provided thousands of pages of documentation printed in printed manuals. So I'm with the company for 24 years. And I think I still have about 20 of those manuals at home. Yeah, we were very well known for providing those books. And then, over time, the requirements did change, and digitalization pushed us hard. And since 2010, we then provided mainly online documentation, PDF and HTML. Then over the time we realized they weren't that such a page is not really user-friendly. We in 2021 we changed our page to a kind of a better organized, structured portal. You see it here. But we also listened to feedback from our customers. Yes, a 3-column design is very nice, but we would need to get more. So we conducted several documentation surveys with customers, partners, and also technical colleagues who use our documentation, and from the entire ecosystem. And we are further working to adapt the docs even better for your consumption. There is much more to come also. So the findings from our doc surveys mentioned ease of use as one major pain point for our users. Another requirement was to focus more on the explanation of specific solutions and use cases also. Even if the huge monolithic product manuals and guides are still very useful and have a right to exist, and not only as references, and might probably never completely vanish. We realized that it might be difficult to consult those during the daily during your daily business. And to address all the new requirements, we started a project a bit more than a year ago. Like our modular operating system itself, the modular building blocks of documentation are much more flexible than all the big monolithic guides, and they match SUSE's focus on solutions better. When you are challenged with organizing docs into a task, you would want to know that we are looking for our users' interest, right? So we try to write in a way that helps you really to complete a task instead of lecture you about a product. We try to focus on our readers' and users' needs and not on the product features. We really aim to instruct you how to solve a problem and not just how to use the interface. And this is where the modular approach comes into the game here. Our goal is to move more and more towards the modular approach. Most readers refer to the docs when they encounter a specific problem. Is that the case for many of you? Yeah? Okay. So the docs usually are the first instance for self-service before you go to support, right? Correct? Yeah, okay. So providing solution or topic-based information speeds up productivity. That is our hope for you. Easier to consume, easier to find. Another important aspect for the modular documentation is to improve the navigation. This helps hopefully to enhance readability and make the consumption easier for you. And finally, we want to simplify and enhance search results. Very important. That came really also with our surveys, that searchability wasn't that good in former times. When you searched for certain SUSE issues or whatever, you really had to scroll down the results list. And this is getting much better with the articles now. What you see here is one of those topic-based articles. At a first glance, you get an overview of all important information of a certain topic. The what details the underlying concept of a feature or technology. The why puts the technology in the right context and explains really shortly the use case. Efforts and requirements summarize the investment, and sometimes there are goals defined or what can be achieved with this article. From there, you can then dive deeper into all the aspects of a topic. In this case, we have the system D timer. That's the entire PDF version of the article, and it contains 20 pages, which is already huge for an article, but much easier to find this way as looking up a manual. So here you see the timeline, a high-level timeline. We started a while ago with all the prerequisites. Mid-23, we published the first set of articles. Today, we are at a special point in time, and if you join a presentation at 4 o'clock today, you will hear much more about it. We have news, and I just mentioned a double word, not one word, because it consists of 2 words. Documentation portal, a real portal. So, hope you are curious now and will join the session at 4 o'clock from Frank Sundermeier. Okay, and our goal is also to get to a certain kind of interaction. We hope it might be possible in the not too far away future to create a My Library and dashboards with those articles you would like to have at your fingertips. Ratings are already being implemented, and you will also, well, we hope to implement sometime midterm news for you, so in newsfeed. Okay, now we come to the workflow and processes and tools. You like it, huh? Yeah. Me too. It was a lot of work to create it. As I joined the doc team as kind of an alien from the outside several years ago, let me share some thoughts. So for those of you who do not know it, I was working in product marketing for more than 16 years at SUSE before. And then I got an offer I couldn't refuse. So I joined the documentation team. So I assume, just like me in former times, not many people reflect about how documentation is created. But I personally, at least, had never expected to find such a well thought out, streamlined workflow. Thought out and streamlined, believe me. Yeah, I tried to visualize it here, but, well, I think I need to go a bit more in detail to not scare you. It all starts with the documentation requests. Requests reach us via different channels. So we have Jira. This is the project management tool we use in SUSE for features and requirements. It tracks all our products. Then there is Bugzilla, the bug tracking system. This is used for our products to request enhancement, but also, indeed, new documentation components. You can also request fresh new components here. And other ways, just like email, you can also send us emails if you want to have improvements or changes or whatever. Then we create the infrastructure in Git. Who works with Git? Everyone? Hands up. Yeah. So I don't have to tell you much about Git. It's our standard version control system. It's free and open source and supports distributed and non-linear workflows. Git is also used by our developers, and we can really docs as code, write documentation like code. We use GitHub as the hosting server for our sources. It follows a branching model to avoid collaboration issues. All repositories of the official SUSE documentation are publicly accessible. You can really go into and look up everything we are writing. For our purposes, Git is really the perfect collaboration and versioning tool. And believe me, I had to learn it. It wasn't that easy, but it's doable. So we usually write our content for the doc. Yep. Yes, of course. Yes. Do you want to have the mic? No?
Speak louder. Just one question regarding your process. What is the review process?
I will come to that. So the question was, what is the review process? I will explain it more in detail because you can also participate in that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the second question is, are you documenting also your test cases?
So the second question was, are we documenting our test cases? We do not really document our test cases. We have, you can access draft versions of our documentation via GitHub.io. But we are not documenting test cases. No. You're welcome. So, yeah, we are using DocBook XML as the main format for our documents. I had to learn it from scratch, but I'm really a huge fan of it because it talks clear text to you. So it's like XML programming. It tells you if you want to have a quote, write quote. So it's really easy. It talks to you. You have to invest a bit more time probably, but if you understand the concept, it's easy to do. However, as we work with many contributors that are not familiar with DocBook XML, we are also working with AsciiDoc. And many of our developers and consultants are using AsciiDoc, and it's the same, so we can process it the same way as DocBook XML. So if you want to work with us, AsciiDoc or Markdown are also easily to handle. Both DocBook and AsciiDoc do not bring their own editors, so we are free to use whatever editor we want to use. Oxygen, which is a paid version, Vim, JEdit, whatever. So there are sometimes also the wars between the different editors, even in documentation. It's just a matter of preference. So, yeah. Now, what do you think? Where all the single pieces of information for documentation come from? What do you think? An idea? No? Okay. Okay, don't be shy, but I save you here. I was always under the impression that every little thing of explanation and so on comes from the developers, from the original software developers. And my colleagues just and only need to take the information and write it down in an understandable way so that I can also understand it. But I quickly learned that would be the ideal world. Reality is different. We are not living in the ideal world. Software development has tight schedules. Developers, who is a developer? Who develops? Okay, you know, you are always under pressure. The first priority is really to deliver your code in time and quality code. Developers are genius in writing code, but not always in explaining it, not necessarily in documenting or explaining it. So that's one point. In addition, the ready-to-use documentation usually is delivered in parallel with the software products and in several different languages. So we also are under time pressure. What does this mean? All of the essential guides and documents and quick starts and how-to articles and so on and so forth, they need to be written and ready for translation. Usually, one says 8 weeks before release. With rolling releases, this is not possible anymore. So we have certain products and solutions where we are like the hamster in the wheel, continuously writing, translating, enhancing, adapting, and so on and so forth. Yeah. So my colleagues, my doc colleagues, and I can really praise them now because I'm not a technical writer. My doc colleagues had to learn how to deal with that lack of information flow, and they really made a virtue out of the necessity. They started to download raw software code, set up their own virtual machines, and they installed the work in progress products themselves and tried everything out. They were already kind of a quality researcher or so. They really had to document everything. Today, it's a usual procedure. They have become real experts in getting up and running semi-finished software products. And even in writing their own software tools to help them reach their goal of providing really good documentation. However, I said it before, not everything is excuse my French, reproducible anymore with regard to scenarios at the customer. Yeah, an SAP complex scenario, not doable for us. Well, then we have the XSLT style sheets. They define the layout. So are you regularly looking at SUSE documentation? Have you ever seen the guides, bigger guides, articles? Did you realize the different layouts? They are looking a bit different. This is done via our style sheets. They are transforming the source into the output formats. Also, the style sheets have been written by our teammates, really inside the documentation team. So left hand, you see a bigger guide. This is the /admin guide, if I don't fail. An HTML format with a 3-column design. Top right, here, that's cover page of the PDF version. And in the middle, you see a SUSE best practices article, which usually is between 10 to 50 pages maximum. Our superstar. Let me introduce you to DAPS. This is Doc Book Authoring and Publishing Suite. This thingy is really a tool that helps us in editing, translation, and in the publishing process for the entire documentation. Written in DocBook XML and in ASCII-Doc. It's a command line tool for any modern Linux system. You can also use it with others. I don't want to promote other Linux distributions here, but it's possible. This helpful tool was invented by our documentation director, Frank, who usually would sit here with me today, but is in the other room now. We can publish all our sources in different formats. We can do HTML, single HTML. We can do PDF. We could do EPUB. We do not provide EPUB currently because it wasn't well accepted. And other formats, text, whatever. So DAPS also allows us to manage all the key tasks from writing and editing, and we have also integrated tiny little helper tools like a spell checker, a style checker, and so on and so forth. Now, during the entire writing and editing phase, we are frequently building the document via DAPS. This helps us also validate it for correct links, references, spelling, and so on and so forth. I already mentioned that we have those little helper tools. We have our own documentation style guide. Dasha, would you show up? Dasha is our editor. She is not the style guide. She is not the style guide, but she is our editor, and she's the one who manages the style guide and yeah, is responsible for it. Yeah, because we have several writing rules. Technical language is different from normal language. It needs to be easy. You shouldn't repeat. You shouldn't not repeat words. You should make it simple and use the same technical terms for the same stuff over and over again. It's not a novel or so. Yeah. We built our documents in all different output formats to ensure everything looks also good. Yeah, we kind of stuck to what Stephen King said: to write is human, to edit is divine. This is our divine Dasha. And then our entire publication workflow and processes are built upon tools that can be at least partly automated. Sources are in GitHub. Nearly everything is scriptable. We do not use any manual formatting for the docs. We can create multiple formats. I think I said that. We do internal reviews, which are automated builds on a daily basis on GitHub.io. Yeah. Did I? Yeah, here. You see the link here, right. And then you can see it on the official web page on documentation.suse.com. Now, how you can contribute. I think this is the most important thing. I showed you all the processes and tools because you might use them. You might need to use them if you want to contribute. So you learned about the types of document we provide, the workflow, and now we'll dive into that. This is, by the way, a picture from a SUSECon in the US where we had beer as a service. Full, right? So having spoken previously about the SUSE best practices and the TRDs, I would like to invite you now to contribute to these special series of documentation. You are the experts, and we really rely on your know-how and your expertise. Please suggest topics mainly for the SUSE best practices. There is so many stuff that you are experienced with where we don't even have an idea that you are. So if there's anything you see is missing in documentation or is missing on the in the row of best practices, we could use more about storage or about virtualization, about containerization. We really are in search of topics, and we are grateful if you come to us and tell us, I really missed this and that topic. I could contribute some content if you help me with writing and publishing. We are here. Share your experience and benefit also from the knowledge of others. You can respond faster to new requirements, and you increase your own, if you're a partner, your own customer satisfaction and your whatever customers of your business you have. Yeah. You can learn faster about new technologies and also how to implement them yourself. I said it before, you can use our promotional machinery and become a famous author. Probably the main reason. Yeah, so working with us on SUSE best practices and TRDs is one option, but you can also contribute to the usual, to the normal product and solution documentation. Let's start with the product documentation. You see here a section of the /admin guide, online HTML. Every HTML version of any product documentation or document features collaboration buttons or icons. This icon here with the warning triangle stands for report an issue. If you want to report any issue, be it a typo, a missing sentence, a paragraph, missing or wrong command, you just click this icon. And you can directly report your issue in Bugzilla. It opens up a bug report, and it opens exactly for the section you clicked in the icon. Most fields are already pre-filled, so it's written in the bug report. There's written it's a documentation bug and the reporter and so on and so forth. You only have to add your description or the missing item. Please provide as much information as possible here. Really, it's important. Then click the Submit bug button on the bottom. Then we will get a bug report, and we can fix the item or reach out to you and ask for more information if anything is unclear. Yeah, that's really easy. For reporting an issue with a topic-based article, just proceed the same as for the product documentation. There's also a Bugzilla report created, right, Tanya? Yeah, it's exactly the same procedure. Yeah. Okay, for the SUSE best practices and the technical reference documentation, the report an issue icon works a bit differently. When clicking the icon, you are directed directly into GitHub issues. So you fill out an issue there. A pre-filled area opens with a link where it belongs to. And here you can detail your problem or the requested change, or even, as I said before, if you want to have more information here, if you say, oh, that's missing a section, I need more, I need a special procedure here, whatever, you can do it here. You can also request follow-up documents, for example. That's all doable via the GitHub issues. It's easy. So, what you see here now, the other little icon is, besides the warning triangle icon, that is the Edit Source Document icon. So if you dare to edit directly in the DocBook XML source or in the ASCII doc source, this button brings you immediately to the respective section of the source document in the GitHub repository. So you are there and you can type if you want. Click the edit to access the source, make your changes or add your content, whatever. In our case, highlighted here with yellow, what has been changed. To preview your change and see the differences, you can click the preview. A Windows opens then, and you can see the changes you did. Here, you see it here, right? Proposed changes. If you are happy with your changes, click the green commit button, and this brings you to the commit message, where you can fill in what you did. You need to add a short title, a brief title for your commit message. Also here, please provide a more detailed description for your changes. Click the create a new branch, because this will be branched. It doesn't go directly into main, fortunately. This will create then the pull request, and the pull request is sent to the respective responsible writer from the doc team. And don't worry, you really cannot do anything wrong, because it's not going anywhere. We first check the changes, the requested changes, and what you put in. And if it is okay, we accept the pull request, and it will be merged. So the edit source document works exactly the same for the SUSE best practices, for example. As we work with the two different document formats, here's just a closer look at the edit option in the GitHub for both formats side by side. You can see it here, DocBook XML, ASCII doc. Of course, you can also access any of these sources directly from GitHub. If you know the name of the repository, it's also easy. So yeah, here you see the difference. The nice thing about ASCII-Doc is that it renders immediately, and in DocBook you see the source. If you have an editor like Oxygen, they also render the real view, but usually you see the source. Okay, so the example on this slide is a DocBook example. Fill in your content. You can preview, and I think we already talked about that. Yeah, that's the same for ASCII-Doc. I think it talks for itself, right? It's really no rocket science, and everybody can do that. Okay. So here I have listed the public doc repositories for the Linux documentation mainly. Our colleague Nuno do Carmo, he will have his session at 3 o'clock about NuVector and Rancher documentation. And he will also talk about how to contribute to this documentation. It is a bit different from the Linux docs currently. So if you are interested here, go also to that session and you will get some insight here. As I said before, all our repositories are publicly accessible, and we are really happy to get contributions and help, and also feel free for any new release. And there's something knocking at the door right now to look at the docs, and if you find whatever kind of issue, if you find typos, if you find if you realize that commands do not work as described, please tell us, let us know. It's really important for every new release. You know also that even with mainly with major versions, it is said, "Ooh, I wait until SP1 is coming out or the next version is coming out," because usually first versions. If you know about a new version coming up, reach out to us. You can also help us review in advance. We organize usually internal doc days, documentation days, where colleagues, experienced colleagues from development, from consulting, from pre-sales, whatever, can join us and review. They focus then on reviewing the documentation. But if you are interested in doing such things, let us know and you will be part of it. Okay? It's an offer, and we hope that some of you will accept it. I know it's always work, additional work, but it will help you all at the end. Okay, so let me quickly summarize here the takeaways. At the end, there are so many options how you can contribute to the SUSE documentation in general. Most important, however, is that we really hope that we made contribution easy for you. If you want to give feedback to existing documents, you can simply use the report an issue or edit source button, or file a GitHub issue. And if you now feel inspired to work with us, for example, on a best practices or on an article, let me know. No, please remember, yes, we work with DocBook XML and ASCII mainly, but really, no matter in which format you would like to provide your content to us, be it Word or OpenOffice documents, pure text files, PDFs, ASCII-Doc, email, pure simple text, or anything else, no hieroglyphs, please. But we really just take them all, yeah? So don't worry. Even if I focused on ASCII and DocBook, we take every format. I'm the one then who translates it into DocBook. Okay, so please take the chance to talk to us, to speak to us here at SUSECon. There are many more, three more now, talks following, because one is taking place in parallel, which you can, however, look up, I think, in about a month or so, all the presentations in September, I think. The presentations will go online. The talk that is taking place in parallel with this one is about interesting things like what Google Analytics has to do with documentation, why we do search engine optimization and these things. It's more the business part of it, but also a really interesting insight because we learned a lot from our documentation surveys. So next talk will be Dasha and Tanya. They give you an introduction how to actually write documentation with us, for us, or in general, technical documentation. Nuno will have a talk later about from code to docs, which is also quite interesting. And then at 4 o'clock, we have Frank live at stage with a talk, SUSE Documentation Redefined, the new documentation portal. And I think that could be really from interest for everyone. And now, as I said, if you want to give feedback, you find here the interesting bits and bytes. doc-team@suse.com is our email address where you can reach us. If you want to kill me for the session, for example, or want to propose topics, reach out to myself directly. Here is my email address. You can also send me stuff, pictures, whatever. Participate in our documentation survey, please. This is so important because only if we get feedback from you what you are missing and what you require and what you are needing, only then we can enhance the docs. So find us at the booth in the Tech Lab. It's written SUSE documentation. So we will be happy to welcome you there. I think the survey will take, it depends from how many products and solutions you are using, but it should not take more than 10 minutes. 7 to 8 probably. Please invest the time and help us make the documentation better for you. Okay? So, with that, if you forget everything, find your account manager or your partner executive. They know how to find us. Believe me. So with that, I would like to thank you. And the question is, are there more questions? Or did I kill you? Anything? Yeah?
We need to go to another session. So quickly, I'm curious to hear about how you organize within your team to develop the pipelines and the internal tools. Are you like technical people? Do you work with another software team, with DevOps people?
Tanya, did you understand that? So the question was how we organize the pipeline for the feature requests and the...
What is the organization of your team? Like, do you have only technical writers?
Okay, how the organization of our team is. So we have two project managers. Tanya is one of those. Tanya is caring for the documentation pieces mainly, the real content writing. She's organizing the stuff in Jira mainly. And we have many technical writers, and she is giving the works. So we have dedicated writers, you can say. They have a topic. For example, there is Dima, who is working on SAP documentation. There is Tomasz, who's working on storage and virtualization. So it's organized by topic. And they write the stuff for their stuff. But the good thing in our team is you can also jump in for others. Is that already explaining your...
Do you have in your team people writing the pipelines or developing custom tools?
Yes. We have also our tool chain team. This is part of the other project manager, and we are developing. We have people, web developer, toolchain developer. So yes, they are also part of our team. Correct. Yeah. inside our team. So direct ways to tell our colleagues we want to have this and that, and implement it, please. Yeah, yeah. We develop and maintain our own tool chain. We have really people that can do that. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks very much.